Yeah, let's jump to running back here, and who you got in the top five?
So let's see. My top five is pretty straightforward again. It's Jonathan Taylor. I still have Christian McCaffrey number two. Dalvin Cook, welcome to the top three. I have him as my number three running back. And then Saquon Barkley, RB4, and Austin Eckler is my RB5.
Ooh, Eckler is interesting because he actually got a little less usage than I wanted him to get.
Yeah.
So he's actually just outside my top five. I have Taylor, McCaffrey, Barkley, Cook, Joe Mixon as my top five, and then I have Swift, Eckler, 6, 7.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, Eckler, he only ran around what 38% of the dropbacks. They definitely, went with Joshua Kelly, Sony Michel in the second half once they were up pretty big. So I'm not too concerned. Maybe they were looking ahead to Thursday night thinking they're going to get Eckler a big, Thursday night role. So
Yeah, that's
last year,
probably true.
yeah, last year, remember Eckler had 0 catches in week one, and look, that turned out to be fine. But I was definitely the underlying usage was definitely a concern, but I think there was some reason for that. They do like to kind of keep him fresh. But either way, he sneaks in my top five. I love him this week.
Yeah, and I mean, thinking about it more, I mean, they if Keenan Allen's out, their offense has to run through Eckler
Yeah.
first and foremost. So yeah, I might bump him back up into my top five. I do like Mixon going against that Dallas team with Cooper Rush after seeing what Fournette did to him in week one, though.
Yeah.
But
And Saquon Barkley, top five running back
yeah, I got
when
him top
healthy.
three.
He has
Yeah,
that. He has
yeah.
that potential. We saw that. Love it.
Saquon had I think what did he get? About 70% of the backfield carries, and then 75%. He ran around on 75% of the
Yeah,
dropbacks. So
just
very good,
amazing.
very good
And
underlying
he
usage.
converted that 2 point conversion too,
Oh
right? That was
yeah.
all him too. All him
Oh
on
yeah, he
that
broke
play.
a tackle at like the 3 or 4 yard line. Like, he doesn't break that
Yeah.
tackle, and not many running backs break that tackle. And then yeah, getting into the end zone. So yeah, he looked great. This was the year to get back on him.
Yep.
Who you high on?
I'm high on Daryl Henderson. I have him RB14 versus
Ooh.
RB28. Yeah, you thought you were high on him.
Ooh.
And by the way, congrats on the call heading into the season, saying that this is a potential leapfrog situation. Who knows what's going on with Cam Akers? I did notice his player prop, his rushing prop specifically. I faded his receiving prop.
I saw that. Yeah,
Um,
good shit.
but his rushing prop dropped like 9 yards, 10, 15 minutes before kickoff. So somebody knew something.
I was in a Knights of DGen Discord, leading up to the game, and
Yeah.
somebody's like, hey, I know somebody that knows somebody essentially that knows like McVay, and like Akers is in the
Yeah.
doghouse, and like you hear
Yeah, no
stuff like that.
shit.
You hear stuff, no, but like
Yeah.
he's like Akers is like not gonna play in early in this game, like he's just not gonna and like he really didn't.
Yeah.
So like usually you hear things like that, and you're like, ah,
That's
whatever, but
exactly no. That's why I noticed that too. I didn't have the inside and scoop like you, but once I saw Daryl Henderson trot out there for the opening snap, I'm like, oh, here we go.
yep. And he looked good. He
And
looked good too. He looked
yeah,
good.
so for now, we have to treat him as the workhorse back. They face the Falcons this week, so I expect a big game from him. I would not be surprised if eventually we have more of a timeshare with Akers, but that might not be this week. So I'm sticking with Henderson as a high end RB2. And then I like Melvin Gordon. Right now, he's my RB21 versus RB36 consensus. And he was a guy that I was saying he's
Yeah,
not a
you called
sexy
it.
pick, but he carries that high floor, high ceiling in that range. Once, Kareem Hunt, Tony Pollard are off the board, I was targeting Melvin Gordon pretty heavily. And this is somebody that loves Javonte. So sure enough, Melvin Gordon outrushed Javonte 12-7. And Javonte dominated the receiving work, thank God, because I had the over on his prop. But a matchup this week against the Texans where they're 10-point home favorites, this could be a good Gordon spot. So I view him as a low end RB2 this week.
We'll see what Hackett draws up. like,
Yeah, we will see. Maybe
because
it's Mike
honestly,
Boone time.
because I was about to say, like, honestly, even giving Gordon 5 more carries than Javante, I don't know, Hackett, I don't know, like, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Gordon was fine, like, don't get me wrong, but like,
Yeah.
it's just the odd, like, oh, what we. Andrew Beck. I mentioned Andrew Beck at the end of
Oh,
our
my
BFS pod.
God.
The whole first drive, Andrew Beck, Andrew
That
Beck,
was, you
Andrew
called
Beck.
it.
Yeah,
Well, you
it's
didn't call it
like,
that way, but you definitely
yeah.
threw his name out
I was
there.
like, yeah, no, we got to remember, like, it's always a guy like him
Oh
that's
man.
gonna break the slate.
But
And
like
sure
you said,
enough,
I think you said they probably opened up like that because who the hell's going to guard him?
right,
And
right.
sure enough, it was nobody. So
Still though,
there
like
you
they didn't.
go.
He didn't throw. Russ didn't like throw to a receiver until like the second, like nearly near
Yeah.
to the second half. Like it was crazy. Um. Okay, for me, for running back, I am high on. I gotta go with Sexy Rexy, Rex Burkhead. He led the Texans backfield by a pretty substantial margin. He had 50 snaps to Dameon Pierce's 20. And he when you look at the carries, he had 56% of the backfield carries, and he ran around on 63% of the dropbacks. And the Texans are an underdog yet again. So I think Burkhead, for now, we still have to expect him to lead this backfield in snaps and touches. So he's the consensus RB45. I have him RB30. He's essentially one of the last like of the starting running backs, but I think we have to treat him like that. We saw this at the end of last year too, and it's still, even
Yeah.
though Culley is gone, Lovie Smith is still the head coach. And they, new offensive coordinator and Pep Hamilton, but obviously still rolling with Burkhead. So I think Pierce's role grows as the season progresses,
Right.
but it's still week 2. And I think you can only kind of bump Burkhead's usage down so much from where he was in week 1. It's going to happen gradually. So yeah, Rex Burkhead for me.
Yeah, unfortunately, he is an RB3 flex for now,
Yep.
but I think Pierce will eventually take over. I think now would be a good time to try to buy low on Dameon Pierce, but anybody that rostered him probably already thinks highly of him, so good luck with that. But I think that for now, I think Burkhead's a good play.
Yeah, the receiving usage is kind of the issue for Pierce for now. It's like he only ran a route on 13% of the dropbacks, and everyone's playing PPR, half PPR these days. That's just going to be hard for him to put up consistent numbers like that.
Yeah, especially when they're, a 10-point dog this week.
Right.
Like they had a positive game script and Burkhead was dominating the early down work, the third down work. It was just not good for Pierce.
And this is, I mean, you have to adjust your numbers. This is what you kind of have to. Actually, let me ask you this: like, so obviously you have like your priors. You coming into the year, you have a certain projected usage for each player. How much do you adjust based on week 1 generally? I know it's going to obviously differ per situation.
Yeah, it definitely depends on each situation. But I think in terms of just like honing in on this situation, I was high on Pierce. He was supposed to be the starting running back, but the evidence of week 1 suggests otherwise. So I'm adjusting pretty heavily based on the week 1 usage. Like I said, Burkhead was being used heavy on early downs and third down usage. So when they're going to be in a negative game script like that, I just can't make a case for Pierce right now. So he's going to be on my bench in all the leagues that I have him, and he has to prove otherwise. So yeah, for this specific situation, it impacts my projections heavily.
All right, who you low on at running back?
So, Derrick Henry, he's still a good play in seasonal leagues, but in DFS, he's probably a fade for me. He's my RB9 to begin the week, which has to be one of the lowest ranks I've ever given Derrick Henry in the past few seasons anyway. And right now he's RB6 consensus, so I'm a bit lower. But, the Titans are a 10-point underdog against the Bills this week. That Bills defense looks, really good. So this is a tough matchup. It's going to be a negative game script. This could be another Dontrell Hilliard game. So I would just lower expectations for Derrick Henry this week. And then got to go with Zeke. He's my RB27 right now. Consensus is RB18. That's got to come down, right? It's just hard to trust him this week with Cooper Rush under center. Cowboys are 7.5-point underdogs against the Bengals, dealing with multiple offensive line injuries. So this could be a week where we see a little bit more Tony Pollard. I'm just very low on Zeke and obviously the rest of the Cowboys offense right now.
Yeah, I have him RB31 to start the week, and it's a combination of like the low touchdown projection.
Yes, yeah.
It's kind of like 60-40 with him and Pollard. And I think the Cowboys will try to run the ball more, obviously, and so that's a positive, but yeah, it's how easy is that going to be when you have like Joe Burrow and the Bengals in this bounce back spot now? They're coming off that crazy loss in week 1. So they might be chasing the score for a good part of the game. Made Dallas. So it's going to be tough. For me, yeah, I agree with Henry and Zeke, but I got to go with Cam Akers. I mean, he's still the
Yeah.
consensus RB 35. And I just, I don't know how you kind of get there with when he had 3 touches in week 1. Maybe his role grows eventually. Maybe he does better in practice. But right now, I have him as the RB 45. I mean, even that might be a little generous. It's just 3 touches on the day. He had under 20% of the carries and ran a route on just 20% of the dropbacks. So, even if that usage ticks up, I mean, it's, he's obviously a complementary piece for now, unless McVay just completely goes and does a 180 and like features Akers. But until we see anything like that, you have to go with kind of what we were hearing coming into the year and what we saw for, with our own eyes in week 1. And then even after the game, McVay is kind of saying, hey, Akers needs to, capitalize on his opportunities. And, he's not saying nice things about Cam Akers. So it's kind of a red flag for me.
How many rush attempts are you giving him?
I'm giving him.
I'm at 8.5. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got him 25%, so about 6. But I mean, yeah, that's 6 to 8. I think is probably
maybe I should make that
a ceiling.
No, I'm giving him the boost, like the late game garbage time mop up duty. Carries, kind of like you give Jamal Williams leader carries, which came through this week. I'm giving Akers some garbage time carries this week.
Oh man! All right, what are you going for the prop?
Let's go with the 49ers backfield here. I think a lot of people want to hear our take on this, but let's go with Jeff Wilson and attempt to figure out what's going to happen here. So let's go total rushing and receiving yards against the Seahawks this week. And I'm going to float out 62.5.
Ooh, that is a good line. I am going to go under. I have it right around there. So I have them getting about 13 carries and 1.3 catches. So like the average yardage comes out to about 64. But median, I think it would be a little closer to 60.
We're right in the same wheelhouse though. Yeah.
So, and listen, Deebo Samuel got 8 carries again in week 1. So they're obviously continuing that kind of, Deebo wide back role. And on top of that, you have Trey Lance now, so it's this 49er RB1 is not always going to be the, like a normal RB1 who's taken over for somebody injured. And then we also just don't, like, we never truly know. Like, it looks like Wilson is kind of clearly ahead of Ty Davis Price, who was a healthy scratch. And then Jordan Mason didn't even get a carry once Mitchell went down. So it looks like he's clearly ahead, but, was Davis Price just an inactive because he doesn't play special teams? Might they, kind of, split work a little more, 60-30, 60-40 in that situation? Who knows? So I think you have to be somewhat conservative with Wilson in this spot. So I'm going to go under, but that's a very good line.